GM. GM. Today's lesson is sort of just a reflection for myself. It's probably not going to be directly relevant to many of you right now if you're new, but I think this will really help you when you're much further on in your trading career. And of course, if you have traded for a long time, you'll probably understand what I'm saying and maybe even agree with me. So I'm spending a lot of time thinking and reflecting on this year and looking ahead to next year. Naturally, as you do, as you get close to the new year. And I've realized, and I've known this for a while, but I'm actually going to make it a central focus of mine to study trading less, to do far less, both to trade less and to learn less about trading in 2024. And it's because I know enough. And it's something that more recently has become obvious to me. And that doesn't mean I know everything, far from it. But you can get to a certain point where you know enough, and what you should actually be doing is optimizing that and focusing on getting the most out of the things you have and the process you have, and not falling into the trap of continuous learning for the sake of learning. So it doesn't mean I'm going to stop studying, right? But concepts, like new trading concepts, TA ideas or research ideas or whatever, I don't need to learn any of them. I don't need to learn about Elliott wave or Gann or Fibonacci spirals, right? So obviously the really specific technical analysis concepts, it's easy for me to say I don't need any of that. I have my own systems, they work. All I have to do is keep doing it and get better at all the other stuff. So what I'm going to be focusing on is far more on the mindset side of things and developing different approaches to how I do everything, to how I work, to how I build patterns, to how I practice. And it's sort of outside and inside the markets. One thing I study a lot is poker. I don't actually play poker. I've never really had the time. But I study it a lot, and I like to well, recently I've definitely gotten into like a rabbit hole of reading about poker players and watching interviews with them and just looking into their mindset and taking the pieces of what they do, what makes them great, and seeing how can I apply that in my own life. And I guess the way this can help, say you're just brand new to trading, you've just started. Obviously, you have to be very much focused on learning loads of TA things, loads of not just technical analysis, but any kind of analysis, whatever analysis you're doing. You have to have some kind of systematic process for how you trade, right? But maybe hearing it from someone who's done it for many years and is now saying they're going to do less of that and focus far more on just self-development, for lack of a better term. Self-development in other areas, psychology, emotions, game theory, mental, right, decision-making, all of those other kind of subjective things, rather than just the objective analysis. That's where you're going to get to at some point. The point of this lesson is, one, just for me to record my own thoughts on it and sort of think through it live as I record. And two, I think for anybody here, regardless of what stage you're at, you're eventually going to get to a point where learning more TA is a net negative. And so it's a bit like what I say, where you should do inch wide, mile deep, right? Become an expert in one area. Maybe that's just swing trading using EMAs. Maybe that's breakout trading using the false breakout method, whatever, right? And of course, you don't only have to trade that. And the way you get there is not just by picking that one and saying, this is going to be me, I'm going to do this. You have to get there by trying a bunch of different things. But if I had have known when I started that I would eventually reach this point, would I have approached it differently? I think I would have. So I guess if I could advise myself, if I could go back and speak to myself at 6 months in or a year into trading, knowing what I know now, I would say pick fewer technical analysis things, study them deeper, and spend more time developing your mind. All the other things around it, right? All the stuff I teach, the psychology, the emotional control, the mindset, right? The habit formation, all of that stuff. But when you're new, you feel like you need to spend loads and loads and loads of time studying charts in certain ways to try and figure the charts out. And that's partially true. Yes, it definitely does help. Nothing beats screen time. Being on the charts helps. But you can get lost in the trees. There's no amount of staring at candlesticks that's going to show you where the candlestick is going to go next. It's only going to show you past patterns. It's only going to show you things that have happened. And definitely, that helps you estimate future probabilities. But are you on top of your mental game? Are you developing your overall character as a person? Are you learning how to think? Are you focusing on decision making? Right? If you view everything through the lens of this pattern means, bullish, this pattern means bearish, I just want price to hit the 12 EMA, that's okay at a surface level, but practice thinking deeper. Sort of more of this conditional probability, if then, if this happens, then what happens next? Instead of it's just, if price hits the 12 EMA in a pullback, then I go long because it hit the 12 EMA. But why? Right? And if you backtest something 100 times, this is something I do a lot now, and this probably help with anybody too, if you're a little bit further on in your trading career. When I study situations and scenarios now, when I'm looking at what happens on the daily open, what happens around the New York Open, what happens on a Sunday night or whatever, right? Any of these kind of scenario-based analysis, I think far more just about why is this happening and what could it mean? What is the cause and effect relationship that led to this? Why does price have this tendency around the daily open? Does it have a tendency? So that's where, first of all, you do your 100 back test, which I still do all the time, studies. Get the daily open on Injective and study it 100 times, right? And then I note all the things that I see, and then I ask, well, what could that be? And a lot of it is just theoretical. You're never going to know. Well, say, okay, it could be algorithms, right? That's always the first thing that comes to mind. Why does price tend to do this more often than it does that? Well, it must be some type of algorithm. Okay, well, why does it do it on Injective? What other coins does it do it on? Is there a pattern across other coins? If there are these coins connected in any way? Oh, are they all by jump? They all the same market maker? Jump trading? Maybe it's Jump's algo. Oh, cool. So then I've seen this thing. So is that a Jump algorithm? No? Yes? Just sort of having more curiosity around the deeper levels of the market. And for many of you, that's probably going to just confuse you more than it's going to actually help you. So I'll reiterate again that this whole thing is about future, right? This is me talking with 5+ years experience about how I'm changing my approach. But for you, right now, if you're 6 months, if you're brand new, 2 months, 6 months, a year in, and you're either going well, you're learning a lot of stuff, it's exciting, or you're hitting a wall and you're like, there's so much information, I'm doing this and doing that, where should I focus? My advice would be that 4 or 5 years from now, you're going to want to spend much more time doing things that are not trading to help your trading. And it's not going to be another lesson about an indicator. It's not going to be another price action concept. It's going to be taking your core concepts and thinking differently about them, and taking your core systems and breaking them down and thinking, how can I think better, make better decisions? How can I manage this situation better? Right? Rather than always thinking that the solution is to learn a new concept. Because there's a million concepts out there, and every time you see one, you want to test it, right? You want to see, does it work for you? You want to then try it on different time frames. You want to try it on different coins. And I'm as guilty as anyone of doing this. Really, constantly testing, trying different concepts out. I would just say that now, this past year and going forward, I focus so much more on everything outside of the trading. The part of being on the charts trading means very, very little to me now, to the point where I'm detached and just clicking buttons. And the part about anything to do with price action concepts, TA concepts, I think I just don't need any more of that. I don't want any more of it. I want to improve what's already there by thinking differently about it, by applying it in different contexts, by thinking more broadly about the market. Hopefully that makes sense. You understand what I mean. And of course you understand that this is not applicable to you if you're brand new, but it will be in future. And so get your concepts, get your price action, TA, get all of that, dial it in, learn it, but it's not the be all and end all. You can make money whether you use trend lines or order blocks or Fibonacci's or Wyckoff, but you cannot make money if you're trying all of them all the time. So work extremely hard, test a lot of stuff very fast and very early. That's what backtesting's for. Find something that seems like it works for you. Doesn't have to make loads of money, something you understand and that you're comfortable with and you can analyze pretty quickly, and then just go and do it and iterate and iterate and iterate, and you'll realize that you can make money no matter what. It's so little is about the actual TA. Everything around that takes much more work, so get yourself to that point faster. Don't overthink the system. Don't overthink the entry, stop loss, take profit, because the vast majority of your time in future will be spent around all the other stuff about mindset, position sizing, risk management, execution, trade management, all this other stuff.